Mush love from the mushroom. What is up? My name is Jeremy. Call me everything Jer. That's Dan. Danny Camp Sounds. He's got music. It's awesome. Listen to it. Another beautiful day. Another great weekend. Feeling good. Summer is here. It was a strawberry moon last week, which is awesome. I went camping. I did a little bit more than a microdose. I'm still feeling good on it. How are you, Danny?
Man, I'm feeling your energy. Firstly, that was a great intro today, and
There we go.
I'm feeling phenomenal as well. Like we were talking about before the podcast, had a really good therapeutic weekend. Alex and Saray, my friends who you met, just got engaged, or well, they got married. They've been engaged for a while, and they kind of just wanted to get it done. So they're gonna do like a full on wedding down the line, but they were just like, we don't want to wait anymore. So they
Awesome.
had like a cool little family and friends type of get together, and then the night before that, I went out to like this jam session, met a bunch of really talented musicians, and that was really awesome. And they were all giving me props on my music, and it was a very humbling experience. So feeling recharged and reset creatively, so that's always good.
Awesome. And now you're flexing for us. Yeah. There we go. All right. So I got a couple things on my mind. I always have topics that I feel like they're not going to take too long. Like we'll have two sentences to say about them and then move forward. But then we always end up talking for 20 minutes and I feel like it wasn't enough time. So we'll see what happens with this. But basically, first thing I want to talk about is kind of obviously we're talking about mushrooms. I'm pretty sure all we talk about is mushrooms these days. So in case you guys are like, oh, I thought there's spirituality with this also, that'll come back. But right now I'm on a mushroom kick. So I feel like there's a lot of synergy with mushrooms. So synergy basically means, as far as I know, 1 plus 1 is more than 2. When there's 1 plus 1 is more than 2, that's synergy. It means that you're creating out of just like being together. So I'm pretty
Mm.
sure I started hearing about synergy most likely from Paul Stamets. He does like the Stamets stack, 7 mushrooms, and says like when you use the mushrooms in conjunction, they help each other out a lot more. I think a lot of mushrooms have something called adaptogens, another word that's like been pretty common lately, where something that I think is super cool. I don't think it's with all mushrooms. Don't quote me on this, but a lot of time the more mushrooms you take, let's say there's vitamin D that you're taking. Eventually, when you take too much vitamin D, it might not be good for you, or it might like kind of hurt you. With mushrooms, a lot of time when you take more, let's say the mushroom is helping point A. Once point A is completely good, it'll start moving towards task B or point B. Once that's kind of good, it'll adapt to help you with point C. So I think a lot of the synergy comes from there. What do you think about synergy? Have you heard of this? Is there anything that you think works well in conjunction with each other?
Um, well, I mean, I think synergy, like you said, spirituality a minute ago. I think synergy is just one of those things of other than just in compounds and stuff too. Like, yeah, you meet a person and you feel the force of like, certain times two people together is just 1 plus 1, and it is just two. But then you feel those connections where you really, I don't know, you're pushing the envelope with someone, and it feels like two minds together feels like it's the same power as 100 minds. When it's the right minds in conjunction. But
Definitely.
when it comes to compounds and things like that, I definitely do think there are, yeah, a lot of synergistic effects within just varying forms of mushrooms, as well as, like we've been learning more about like niacin, for example, or other
Mm-hmm.
things that allow basically catalysts that help allow things, whether it's to cross the blood-brain barrier, or it's helping with the heart and absorption, various things. So that's something I definitely want to do a lot more research. We've been talking to people in our community, and they seem to know a lot about the interactions and things like that. And
Definitely.
there is a lot of science out there, so it's not something I'm super versed on. But I mean, I do completely believe in the concept of synergy, and that is something that's really powerful. And it's like, why not use that to your advantage if possible?
For sure. So I think a lot of the mushrooms in the mixes that we try from our sponsor, Mushmore, what's it called, are mostly mushrooms and help everything from the immune system to like nerve support, your brain function, stuff like that. I guess why it's been on my mind is with I've heard that there's so a lot of people have like mushroom ceremonies, right? Kind of like an ayahuasca ceremony where you do more than a microdose, you do a macro dose, and you very intentionally analyze what happened, and you do a lot of shadow work. So a lot of mushroom ceremonies is real cool. I've seen that a lot of mushroom ceremonies have cacao ceremonies as well. So I actually
Hmm.
had cacao, and it's pretty funny if you don't know, because a lot of people might not know. Cacao is chocolate. That's where chocolate comes from. Most chocolate um, isn't really natural. Side story, actually, I don't know if you knew, most chocolate comes from very bad places. There's a lot of slave labor to get chocolate. If
I've heard, yeah.
it's really bad. I'm like pretty against it. I actually saw last week there was a Supreme Court ruling that Nestle can't get in trouble for getting chocolate that uses slave labor, which is bullshit. Because basically, what these companies do is they set up smaller companies in, let's say, Africa, wherever, Asia, and then another smaller company under them, and they basically shelter themselves from getting in trouble. So they say, "Oh, this company is doing the slave labor," when it's like, "Yo, it's all going to
We're the one
Nestle."
funding it,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, yeah.
exactly. So that's a pretty messed up. But cacao is where chocolate comes from. It's like the natural chocolate, not milk involved and all that. Very sweet,
Right.
very good. But it's supposed to be a very heart-opening experience. And there's cacao ceremonies, something I'm pretty new, like haven't heard too much about, but started hearing more and more last year. So there's supposed to be a lot of synergy between cacao and psilocybin, where psilocybin's supposed to open up your head, and cacao's supposed to open up your heart. Uh,
Wow.
I don't know the science behind it, but I know that I took a gram of psilocybin last week, and it was the strongest gram of my life in conjunction with psilocybin, with cacao. What are your thoughts on any of that?
I mean, I totally abide by that. I think that's really interesting, and
Have you heard of
definitely
a
would.
cacao ceremony before?
No, that's new to me, to be honest. I'm even cacao as a whole. Like I've heard of that being like the more like organic precursor to chocolate, but I'm like I said, I'm not super versed in that, and I didn't definitely didn't know that was used in ceremonial context. But no, that's I mean, it makes sense if one's opening up. You know, like you said, it's kind of mushrooms can be kind of like a closed loop up here sometimes. So to give the conjunction and feel that more bodily feeling and allow your down here the head down to kind of open up and match that same level of openness, it probably makes it feel way more holistic of an experience, I would imagine. So I mean,
Definitely.
I'm definitely not opposed to trying it. That sounds really fascinating.
Well, we will make it happen. So, funny enough, a little side story. Hopefully, our viewers don't mind that this is a little like not an inside joke, but this is inside. I don't know if anyone's gonna know what exactly what I'm talking about. But the way I heard of cacao ceremony is 3D went to
Mm.
Miami like last year, and he met these two super hippie dudes and did like acro yoga with them. Which awesome that 3D just puts himself in situations and does
I
stuff.
love him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's awesome. He's the epitome of just go with it and experience it. I love it, and it's brought him, I think, pretty far. But he did like acro yoga with these two super interesting dudes. I ended up clicking one of the guys. The guy that I clicked was singing Ho Oponopono or however you pronounce that, which I was like, this guy's the man. Because I'm
Right.
like all about that Hawaiian mantra. I love you, thank you, I'm sorry, goodbye, or thank you, whatever, I love you. But then I saw that this guy does cacao ceremonies, and it's kind of one of those things. Once you see it once, the last year I've seen cacao ceremonies every
Mm.
couple weeks, and I'm like, oh, this is like a thing. I kind of want to experience this. I didn't know people had ceremonies with chocolate, but definitely dope.
That's funny. Yo, just to transition off of that point, because we're talking about synergy and things.
Yeah.
I think we might have briefly touched on this on one of the other episodes. I'm not sure though. But I've been reading a lot more articles. I'm sure we've been sharing them back and forth about synthetic psilocybin
Mm.
or just taking the actual compound through extractions and distillations and whatever and getting that isolated to whether it's a crystal or a tincture, various forms. And I know you and I were talking about it, and we brought it up in a community of other people that are, passionate about microdosing and things like that. And it's interesting because I expected a lot of people to be like, "Oh, that's awesome! It's probably easier, this and that." But what you're saying is, I feel like a lot of people who are into microdosing or mushrooms and the spirituality component almost are pushed away when they hear that because of the
Yep.
fact that if you're just isolating the singular compound, you're not taking these, like you said, these synergistic effects might be removed from it, and it might actually not be the same thing anymore. Like, sure, you have that active compound, but without the other things bound, it's like with THC when you smoke. If it was all just THC with no CBD, you'd be a little too anxious. So it's like having the plant matter that is just CBD, or having plant matter and there's CBD in there, even if it's 1 or 2%, can be a more grounding, holistic experience for the entire thing. So
For
I think
sure.
that's really interesting, like when we're talking about synergy and mushrooms and things of that nature. And now we see like psychedelic capitalism on the rise, where these companies are just trying to extract the thing and sell it. And it's like, well, you can't just take something out of its natural state and then expect it to do the same things. Like you're saying, these other what was the word? The other compounds are anithids or whatever you said in the
Oh,
beginning.
adaptogens, adaptogens.
Adaptogens.
Yeah,
The other adaptogens. It's like, yeah, it's in nature. It's a package deal for a reason. You know what I mean? And if you
exactly.
do this, it's almost kind of rude, or in my mind, not rude, but it's like counterintuitive and disrespectful to like these people who have been doing ceremonial things for thousands of years in a way where they understand the holistic dynamic, and they even beyond just what's in that compound, they're blending it, like you said, cacao or other things. So that's something that I find really interesting. And some people that might be the route, but I think if you want that entire experience, I feel like you're kind of removing it from its natural state.
Exactly. No, that's a great point, and that reminds me a bit of like this quote. We'll get a little spiritual now. Of the river is never the same twice. And
Mm,
why I kind of think of that is and I guess it's been on my mind a little the last week, is like whenever sometimes I definitely have like some regret with events, and I'm like, oh, if just this happened now with my mindset now, it would have been so much better. But my mindset now is how it is because of everything that's happened before. You can't just say,
right.
oh, it would have been the same or different. No, you can't do that. Just like the river, no matter what, it's never gonna be the same. The experience that it is at this certain point is just one of one, and then it's never again. So I kind of feel that a little bit with medicine and with extracting the compound out. It's not the same.
Mm,
Whatever you think or whatever, I feel like a lot of companies are going to start patenting and like taking these synthetic compounds. It's not the
right.
same. You might have some benefits, but I can't help but feel it's really not the same. And I'm glad a lot of people in the community kind of feel the same way. Right when you see synthetic, people are like, no.
Yeah.
And I think that's good because,
And I find it interesting is like people, even people like PhDs and these very intelligent people who might be doing these extractions are like, no, it's the same. Like they can, from a scientific standpoint, kind of objectively like analyze what it is and what it should be in theory. But it's like you guys really don't know. And if you're not someone who's indulging or like experiencing that too, it's like it doesn't really make sense. And this is reminding me now, like in Buddhist culture, they have two words for knowing, like to know. There is vidya and there's nyan. I'm pretty sure. I don't want to butcher that,
I
but
like them.
so there's two different meanings for know. So there's one is like conceptual understanding, knowledge, like a teacher could pass down math class. Hey, this is that, and you can learn it and actualize it.
Mm,
Then there's knowing of like adapting and experience and feeling that knowing, right? So like
mm,
you could have a PhD in oranges, the fruit oranges. You could have a PhD in oranges and write all your dissertation on what oranges might taste like in a citric component. If you've never tasted an orange, you don't know it. You might know everything around and about it and stuff. So
mm.
that's why I think
Great
understanding
point.
like
I like that.
yeah, so that's why I find that very interesting of like the two ways to know something. Like sure from a scientific standpoint you can look at it in an isolated experience and this is what it should be theoretically, but it's like you don't know until you've experienced, and if you're not one of the ones experiencing it, who are you to say what it is? You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
yeah,
I like that. I'm gonna look up what do you think those words are? I'm gonna try and look them up, and
I'm
maybe
pretty sure
next
it's
time we'll correct.
Nyan and Vidya, Gyan is the one, and then the other is Vidya, Vidaya. Maybe I'm probably butchering that a little bit,
Nice. I like
but
that. So, I think that actually wraps up about our time. I'm gonna actually bring up our second topic that I wanted to talk about, so that
okay.
you can think about it a little, and that our three viewers that we have can write comments and stuff, and maybe bring up some things we can talk about next time. But I wanted to talk about like what's the best routine to do on your microdose day. So we've talked about the Fadiman and the Stamets protocol of like 1 day on or 3 days, 1 day on, 3 days off,
Right.
whatever it might be. But when you take your microdose, what do you especially do on those days to like to make sure you're getting all the use out of it? Are you journaling? Are you working out? Do you not drink coffee? What is it? So that's just something to think about. Also, just want to tell our guests we have a special guest coming on in a couple days. So if there's anything you definitely want to hear from another guest, we're going to be talking about basically microdosing. We'll probably talk about the legality of it because we got an ex-con coming on. Pretty excited about that. So please reach out, let us know. Be a guest one of these times too. Just let us know you're interested. We'll have you on. We love talking to anyone. It's the Mush Love from the Mushroom. Danny, any closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts, much love, and yeah, keep it active. Drop some comments like he's saying. I mean, we synergy, right? We got two minds coming up with topics, but each person that's channeling into that same train of thought, it's just spawning more ideas in our heads, and we can extrapolate from there, and hopefully offer more value to you guys. And it's just a cyclical process. So
great point. This podcast is way better than just if you had a podcast and I had a podcast. Together, the synergy is there. Great way to close it out. That's a great example of synergy. Love you. Mushroom from the Mush Louvre. Mushroom.
Much love from the Mushroom.
There
Let's
we go. Yo, Danny's having a song called Mush Love from the Mushroom coming out Labor Day. Be ready for it. There's no lyrics yet, but I'm putting them on. He's got to write them now. Thank you. As always. Peace out.